Welcome back to Shed Talk.
I like doing something funky. I'm gonna go now. Wait. No, we're in.
Alright, go on, we're in. Go.
Hi, we're back, and I'm being mocked, but it's Shed Talks episode 2. Welcome back. We're back with some vengeance. Will, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We had about 4 minutes about to intro this.
We nailed the intro.
But welcome back to Shed Talks episode 2, which was in hot demand.
Yeah, you might have noticed Will's got the short straw with that seat, no back support, and I'm fucking sitting pretty.
Yeah, it's funny you say that actually, because me and Ryan went and picked up well, the thing is, I was saying to you the other day, I feel most productive when I've got like a little setup, you know? So, and I haven't had it in my room for ages, so I've wanted a desk and like a seat and whatnot. So I've been on Facebook Marketplace like on hot demand for it, and I've been told by everyone that gaming chairs are much more comfortable than office chairs. This doesn't sound very interesting to open up with
does it's true though.
So so I went and snared a little Facebook Marketplace bargain the other day, 40 quid, for a brand new gaming chair, which was £200, picked up in Chigwell.
I have this thought, like, you meet people in the office and they sit at an office chair and their backs are always fucked. There's always an excuse. It's like, yeah, mate, I sit at a desk, don't I? Any injury, I sit at a desk. But gamers spend hours of their life
days
grinding, and you never hear one of them go, oh, my back's fucked, mate. So if you're watching this and you work in an office, get a fucking gaming chair. You spend half your life in it. So I don't get when people buy fucking shit beds. Like,
this is funny you said
get
this,
a
actually.
mattress.
Did we say this the other day on the podcast?
I don't think so. We don't know. We just so much good facts.
So, yeah, you spend half of your life sleeping and working.
Yeah.
And I remember someone saying they bought a bed for like 10 grand or something. And I remember thinking, that is an outrageous sum of money.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, you spend 60% of your life in it. And if you've got a good night's sleep, then that's the start.
Ideal.
Yeah, that's ideal. And I thought, when you think about it like that, that's an investment. Yeah. You have a bed for like 10 years.
Yeah, it's true. And like you just...
I mean, £1,000 a year is still
like,
pretty pricey.
You know when you sleep in someone else's bed and you're like, this is shit.
Yeah.
Like some friends have comfort, or you sleep in like a hotel or some shit and you're like, this is terrible. But yeah, get a good bed and get a gaming chair. 2 little gems and we're under 4 minutes.
Can't be open now. I actually, in my second year of uni, the bed was so atrocious. It was just like cardboard with springs.
Yeah,
you can imagine. And I got quite a bad back anyway. And I said to him, I slept on a sofa for like 3 months. I was like, I need a topper.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, that's all I want.
This
is it. All I would like is a topper, and I was just pestering them, and I was like, okay, we'll compromise, we'll pay half of it, and it was only 60 quid, you know what I mean? So it was only 30 quid for them. I got it, unreal, like incredibly comfortable.
That in your life, innit?
And now people sit on my bed and they're like, well, not many people, but like it's honestly unbelievably comfortable.
You don't make it too comfortable though, because I'll struggle to get out of it.
I'm glad.
I've been.
I thought you meant my bed.
People getting the wrong idea.
Yeah,
my bed, my fucking bed. Podcast exclusive.
I was confused myself. I had to sort of backtrack.
That never happened.
I think that to them, but
no. But getting out of bed sometimes is a struggle. I've been shit at getting. Even when I went to school when I was a kid, my mum used to fucking drag me out of bed.
It's funny we say this. I always refer back to it. It's like, funny you say that. I was speaking to my mum earlier, and I was saying, you know, when you have to get up very, very early, you definitely get this as well. And you know, there's no amount of money that could like lure you out of bed. You just want to sleep.
Yeah, there's no.
You come downstairs. I used to get this every day when I worked in the factory, off of part 1. I used to look at my dog. And I used to think, you can have a great day. Literally sleeps for 20 hours of the day. I look at it and I'm like, I'm jealous.
Yeah, that appeals to me hard.
I used to look at it every day thinking, you're going to have a great day and you don't even know it.
Yeah. So that's your morning routine, right? Wake up and you're jealous of the dog.
Yeah, so I'm glad we've cleared up the essentials of spend as much money as you can on chairs and beds.
Yeah, just sleep and do fuck all.
So,
heard it here first.
Right, we'll actually get into get into some proper topics.
It's quite a good point though about, like, I know I was taking the piss, but the morning routine, like, I've been banging mine out for a while now. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like during lockdown I was trying getting like just being real disciplined. You know what Wim Hof is? I did this.
Max was massive on this.
I did this for a week.
Explain for the people that don't know what this
is. Wim Hof basically, well, I think it's more to it, but basically, first thing in the morning you have like a cold shower. Like he's a man. Yeah. You have like a cold shower or bath. Like that's part of it, right? I did this for, I say long, I did it for like 2 weeks. So I'd wake up in the morning and get in a freezing cold bath, like cold as fuck. Don't get me wrong, after it I was fucking awake, but like, you have to like mentally psych yourself up. I remember sitting in it like up to my stomach, and you have to be like, alright, we're gonna go under now, and then you just bottle it, but then you get stronger at doing it. Like, don't get me, like, it's fucking good, like it wakes you up, it really does.
I know quite a bit about it because Max, for anyone that doesn't know, big name drop. I lived with him at uni and he was massive on it, and we watched a Vice documentary about him. And so it's basically this fella, I think he's from Norway or somewhere cold. And he developed this breathing technique. This is actually super interesting, but like he developed this breathing technique or like strategy to overcome cold weather and cold water pretty much. And there's this documentary on him, and if you haven't seen him, you have to watch it. But he pretty much goes into, I don't know if you would have seen this. He goes into a frozen. This is one of the many crazy things he does. But he goes into a frozen lake every morning. But the first ever time he done it, he didn't have goggles on. So he Wim Hofed, and it's something like 3 deep breaths in and like a small exhale or something.
Yeah, I've heard this, but I didn't know.
Similar. I'm sure Max is listening to this correcting me. Actually,
but it's 2 in and 4 out.
And the first time he ever done it in a lake, his retinas froze.
Oh, that's not what you want.
He froze his retinas. Yeah, it was literally that cold. But he does some incredible things. He has like a school, and when you watch the documentary, you can't help but think it looks very culty, like very culty. But he has a sort of school where he teaches people these things, and he shows their development, and it's crazy. And then he started getting a lot of recognition from science, and they basically did all these done all these studies on him, and basically gave him an illness, like ingesting him with like illnesses, and he was using his technique, and he was basically just combating these illnesses.
Where's he at the moment?
It's actually
what can he do with a virus?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's actually nuts. But he walks up Everest in a pair of shorts, just shorts. It's crazy. He does it every morning.
It's weird, right? Because obviously the breathing techniques help, and like he does get immune to it, but that's a lot of like mental strength, you know. Like you've got to just push.
I think that's
what
half of it is.
Like when I read the Goggins book, he used to like G-Dog or a geezer. He used to like go out like in the cold and like throw himself, like literally throw cold water over him and just run, just so he could suffer and like mentally he can push further. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying go and do that, but like that's an extreme example of like how you can use your mind to sort of overcome a lot of shit. But it's interesting stuff, man.
Because you do watch those things and you think, oh, like I know I do sometimes. Like, I'm so inspired. I'm so motivated. And then if you told me to walk outside and lob cold water over me, it was like that ALS challenge. Do you remember that? Did you ever do that?
No, I actually got it. I've never got voted. So
I'm gonna have to upload this to one of my social media so people that are listening can see this.
Definitely do that.
But I remember at the time. Anyone who's listening that watched it will know actually how nuts this is. But at the time, I remember thinking, every single person done it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I don't just want a bucket of water, done, everything. I was at the cricket club and I was trying to think of the most like out there, elaborate plans I could. Exactly. And we had an ice machine, and I stupidly thought ALS ice challenge was ice and water, but it wasn't. It was just ice cold water. So we had a bin, like a black bin, filled it up half with ice, out of an ice machine, just rock hard, solid ice cubes. You know when sometimes you put ice cubes in the freezer and they ain't been in there long, they're all like watery. No.
Melt them in your hand.
These are like rock solid. Like you see that cut there? That's just the other day when I'm like scooping ice and it's just rock solid.
Some sharp ice.
I'm not like a ice scoop. By the way, it's just at work. But so we filled this up and everyone was like, right, cool, like we'll stand on the chair and we'll tip it over you. I was like, no. I want this to go above and beyond. Yeah. So I said, stand on top of the creaky club.
If anyone that doesn't know, what's that like?
20 foot?
Yeah.
20 foot?
Yeah.
Something like that?
It's high.
Yeah, no, he's high up. Yeah, 20 foot, and I was on a chair below it, and there was just a pause, and I was like, you got to hurry up, like the tension. I remember saying, like, the tension's getting me.
I remember watching the video thinking, pour that now.
And yeah, because there was a little break, and as they poured it, the first ice cube hit my head, and at that moment I thought, fuck, what have I done? What have I done? Like, it hit me.
Bit late there, didn't it?
And then there was like some weird delayed reaction of like one ice cube to like half a bin of ice cubes on my head. And I just remember I was around like families, young kids. I couldn't do anything but just scream swear words. So I'm literally just
it does numb the pain,
bullet, like it released a lot.
100%.
And I remember feeling my head like just seconds after, and there was like lumps like all over my head. But yeah, anyway, that was off on a tangent from.
A good tangent though.
From Win Hof.
Yeah.
Didn't help me there, did it?
No. Should have breathed. That was your problem.
2 breaths in, I'd been pushed.
It's in through the nose, out through the mouth. You've been sweet. Those lumps have been no worries.
Bloody hell.
But yeah, what else has been going on in life? Not much to report back about.
Well, we decided to watch.
Oh, we did.
We decided to watch The Social Dilemma.
Did. And do you know what? First and foremost, it was really well produced. I've got to say that. I was watching it thinking, this is bang on.
Unreal.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. It's really good, really interesting, but the production is
the
really
one
good.
thing that I think when I watch films is if me as a watcher ever says
and content creator
says that's well produced, it must be very well produced because I never even
it goes over your head
look for things like that. So if it ever strikes me, I think wow. And yeah, that's a good point actually. It was, I was 10 seconds in, and I was in a group chat. I was hooked.
Yeah.
I remember just saying to the boys like, I am hooked. So give us a little explanation of what it is.
Well, do you know what got me right? So it's kind of, in a nutshell, how social media is kind of influencing us, and like the powers of social media. But that justification doesn't really do it too much justice. Like, it's so much deeper than that. Like, you're gonna need to watch it to get a good understanding, and I would recommend it. But we're gonna gloss over some of my and your key points that we sort of took away, and our opinions, because it is mad really. Because even like while I'm watching it, I found myself like going on my phone, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I had to make a conscious effort to like not go on my phone.
I wrote down a few points just that I was brainstorming. I knew I'd forget. And funny enough, that was one of them. When I was watching it and they were talking about every time we have a notification or we're tagged or we have our screen just sort of lights up, it's a release of serotonin. And obviously that's just
it's what you want.
Happiness.
Yeah.
And it's just short bursts of serotonin. And it's so funny, like, as they were saying that, it hadn't even been a second. There was no notification on my phone, and they were talking about when you just pick it up randomly. I just found myself just going like that, and I was thinking, that wasn't the whole documentary. It was crazy, really. They sort of dive into, it's all ex workers of
CEOs,
Facebook, Google, YouTube, all of those sort of places, all of those sort of people, and they were just diving into what these platforms do with our data and how we consume things, and pretty much on a whole how we are chess pieces in the game, really. I remember thinking, you see everywhere, this is a thought that I had like literally 5 minutes in, and you see everywhere about like they have our data, and someone referred to it on there quite similarly. I can never say similarly instead of saying just simile.
I got you.
It's not our data. They're actually collating like the deepest versions of ourselves, of our personalities.
Yeah.
They are just collecting things we don't even know about ourselves.
Yeah.
And they're collecting. It's not data necessarily. Well, obviously it is, but it's not necessarily just numbers and figures. It's actual personality traits that we don't even know about ourselves. Yeah. And that's what I was like. Wow. They really are.
That was a big takeaway I got. Like the AI. What's that stand for? Automated intelligence.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So the AI. Like knows what makes us tick subconsciously, like things we don't even know make us tick. So like they already know exactly what we want to see. Like even they say like when you swipe down on Instagram, it's like a slot machine.
That's what they say. They try and replicate. Yeah. Basically, people's jobs at these places are not necessarily to always make things better, inverted commas, to make them more addictive, to keep us on the platform. And this is how this whole documentary came about, because one of the workers was saying he was on Google email and they were saying how can we make it more addictive and these things, and he sort of stopped and was saying, okay, we've actually, what are we trying to do here, and started questioning it. And that was the craziest thing. They were saying we're trying to replicate sort of a casino, and when you drag down, like you refresh the time, you're like waiting for that notification, aren't you? You're like waiting for that bit of gratification. Yeah, but is that what I said last time?
Serotonin, I think.
Yeah, that's a release in the brain. Oh, that's
hardcore narcotics you're talking about there.
Serotonin's from when Joe Rogan talks about DMT.
Yeah. Does he talk about DMT? You should try it. We haven't actually done it, but yeah, I had this like weird thought. I always have like, it's not super weird, but like a weird way of looking at it, right? So say like our phones, for example. Say if a drug came out tomorrow. I think this might have even been an episode in Black Mirror. I don't even know.
More than likely.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like any outside the box thought you have, Black Mirror probably covered. But say like they invented a drug tomorrow that causes you to just look at your hand. You just keep looking at your hand and you put it away and you look at your hand. You'll be talking to someone and you just look at your hand. Do you know what I mean? And like that is effectively what the phone is. I know we're engaged on the phone, but it is a drug. Like we're chasing a high. And like how many of us are guilty of just fucking going on social media, on Instagram, seeing everything, just flicking between apps.
No reason whatsoever to be there.
Just literally flicking between apps. But I think it is important to say, like social media can be a beautiful thing, right? Like they were saying in the thing, like people have found organ donors through that. They've reunited with long lost family members. Like you have so many more options of what you can do. Like if I wanted to leave now, I could get in a car and go anywhere. I could get any food like within reason if they're open delivered to here.
But that's what brings me on to one of the points I've got here though. There was a lot of good, and those people all outlined that, but. So basically, this is a crazy statistic, and I'm glad I wrote this down. Since 1960, computers' intelligence have improved by not like 10%, quadrillion. Yeah. Quadrillion since 1960. So this is when you were saying about AI, and basically a lot of people in that sort of side of the world predict that AI is going to take over human intelligence, and pretty much they actually designed this computer not that long ago, this AI computer, and it started off with like very basic language, and it within not a long time, I won't say the time period because I don't actually remember, but the two AI computers developed their own language we couldn't even physically understand.
Yeah, they could be doing anything.
And that honestly is just scratching the surface of AI. So when people say like, robots taking over, it's a little bit inflammatory, but there is a lot of truth to that, because if you think for example, let's just take something really, really random, like the automobile sector. So like cars, for example, since 1960, there's been like there's been like a lot of growth in that sort of sector. And even if you was to put a number on it, like 50%,
I think it was something. It's like 150.
150%. Yeah.
Which is obviously a lot, but like compared to a trillion.
And then you think quadrillion. And it was quite a cool thing I saw the other day, and it was completely off topic, but people, there was a lot of people online, it was about sort of wealth distribution, and people were saying, you don't actually realise the difference between a million and a billion, because our brains are never wired to compute numbers that big. And someone put it down, and it was something, it's along these lines. 1 million seconds is something like 11 days, and 1 billion seconds is something like 36 years.
That's scandalous.
So when you put it like that, when you think of pounds,
my mind's blown.
It is. Those numbers may not be bang on, but it's close. Yeah. And when you think about that in terms of pounds, if you just think seconds, 11 days, and then 36 years.
Yeah.
And then you think of billionaires. That's why you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, there shouldn't be billionaires X, Y, Z." And to a large extent, I do agree with them, and to some extent, I don't agree with them. And that's probably for a whole nother day. But that just comes back to my point of when you look at those stats of computers are quadrillion times more powerful. That the human brain cannot keep up with that to any extent.
Like,
which is crazy.
Like the car's a good example, right? If you think of like the very first car,
yeah,
and then you think of a Tesla, like that's 150% better.
Yeah.
So like think of the difference there, and then I'm not going to do the maths, but times that by however much that is a crazy stat. Speaking of crazy stats, it was quite interesting really, and so it was about like fake news.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How mad was that?
This was a big one.
Fake news on social media flies 6 times faster than like normal news.
Yeah.
Not real news, sorry. But
normal news.
Yeah, I do get that to an extent because
you speak about it more. You have to think if people make things up in the media and they say something very inflammatory or very controversial and whatever it may be, we're all guilty of it and we don't realise.
Yeah,
even us coming on here and say we were discussing some sort of crazy thing we'd heard like on Instagram, that's giving that more airtime. It's more interesting, more intriguing.
Almost sells.
You go to your mate and go, did you hear about this and this? You don't often say, oh, did you hear about this? Talking off of BBC News, you know.
So about the latest politics update? Like, no, I haven't.
Yeah, funny enough, no. I actually haven't.
It's a mad stat though, but I do like what Instagram have been doing. If you're listening, we know you are. But they've
don't say that.
No, they definitely are. They have been doing this thing. I've seen it recently. I've been scrolling through, and it's like, oh, this is fake news. Do you want to see it anyway? So they're trying to somewhat combat it. I've seen that a few times.
The thing is, though,
like, you can never you can never keep track of it all.
Well, this is you have to be able to call things fake news. Even if you take where I sort of create content, health and fitness, is quite easy to do that because it's quite a minimum amount of information. A lot of scientists work through the work, and it's quite easy to go to a journal and call like bullshit on a lot of things being called. However, I could turn around and just say literally anything about anyone, and it is known impossible to sort of prove some of these things wrong.
Yeah.
So you can't call
it's not as black and white.
Yeah, it's not as black and white. You can't literally go to a journal or an article online and factually call things. If I tell you a story about someone or say I saw them here at this time, for example, it can be something as trivial as that. Something like I saw a celebrity at this restaurant here, and it's quite even hard to sort of call out. It's hard to call out fake news. But one of the points that this is what I said to you earlier, I hate watching these deep philosophical things late at night because it gets my mind racing. And when I go to sleep, I was saying to my mum, I have the weirdest, most vivid dreams, and I did. And last night I was with what's the bald geezer's name off of MasterChef? I've got a real sweet tooth, that geezer.
Oh, what is his name? I don't know.
Greg Wallace.
Greg Wallace.
Yeah, so he was my dream today. But one of the thoughts I had is I've written it down here, and obviously it's the very cliche thing of like we're pretty much just lab rats.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking it's so crazy that we're lab rats to these corporations that are making billions and trillions of pounds off of us that we have no affiliation to, but we have no reason to be associated with them.
Yeah.
Do you see what? But we're basing our entire lives and our psyche's being changed.
Yeah.
And our psychological, like we're gaining psychological defects basically off of these platforms that we don't even have to sort of involve ourselves in.
No, we don't have to, but the addiction is real. And like, I'm guilty of it as well. I'm not going to sit here on my high horse after watching this documentary and being like, oh, I'm not going on my phone no more. Like, there's no doubt in my mind I'm addicted to my phone.
It is ingrained in
There is no doubt in my mind, and I'll admit that. And I think maybe the first step is admitting that you're addicted, because a lot of people are like, no, I could put my phone away, I don't need it. Like you might not need it, but you're going to put it away on the side.
I thought the girl in the thing, I thought it was a little bit extreme.
Yeah. I mean, they're just going out their way to prove a point. She smashed the safe open to get her phone.
They was having dinner. It's not really a spoiler. It's just funny.
No, it's not part. It is, but it's like
they film it quite well. So it's a family. It's like a family that's sort of putting the situation into them alongside like actual professional speaking. and it's the mum basically saying, "Oh, we need to be using our phones less," and she puts in basically this safe jar thing, just for dinner, so like an hour.
Yeah.
And someone gets a notification. She gets off the table.
They're like literally like itching up to see who it is.
Gets a spanner, and this is what I thought. But to be fair, there probably are people like this. Gets a spanner and just smashes this glass like safe open, and just runs upstairs.
Do you know what I didn't like that about that? Sorry, the parents just sort of accepted it. They was like, "What's she like?" The parents were like, "What the fuck are you doing? Come back, eat your dinner, and now you're washing up and you're cleaning up that glass as well." And they wouldn't go, "Oh, that's just him, isn't it?"
It's funny you say that, because I remember thinking the same thing with the fella, because he goes to get his phone, which was also in the jar after dinner, and it is like smashed to pieces because of her, and then he was, my screen's broke, and then his mum, and he was like, and said, Arabella, like whatever her name is. I don't know what
like Arabella.
Yeah, she did, didn't she? My screen's broke, and the mum was saying, if you don't use your phone for a week, I'll fix it. I was thinking, no, she's paying for that now.
I was gonna mow the lawn till you get the money.
That sort of shows the addiction. But on a more serious note, the crazy thing was that goes way off topic, but the not off topic, but just goes flips the coin. When they was talking about Generation Z.
Oh yeah, this was interesting.
Did I say Z? Said Z.
Oh god, the Yanks are getting to you through social media. Z.
That felt horrible.
So for people that don't know, and I need to recap my knowledge as well, it's people that are born from '96 onwards.
Yeah.
So they would have experienced.
They would have experienced social media
in
secondary school, middle school, they say.
High school, if you're
yeah, so I'd say this. It's actually middle school.
When they were a freshman.
I don't know when middle school is. I think it's sort of year 8.
Yeah, I want to say
maybe,
that.
Something
Because
like that.
I had, like we probably all did, like BlackBerry. Maybe I don't think I had a phone in year 7, maybe, or like I would have got a phone in year 8, and again, addicted to BBM. Like that was the first kind of dopamine hit, right? Broadcast someone's pin, people add you, you start messaging people.
Broadcast a sad status, send it to one person.
Yeah, just to get a reply. I never did that, but I heard rumours.
No, I need to address this here, and I remember it so vividly. It's funny. You know when you go on Facebook and it says 10 years ago you wrote this.
I love them. That's good from them. Again, keeping us on the app.
Honestly, Christ, it all comes back to them, doesn't it? I read one the other day, and it was like this really soppy, and I never write emotional things or anything like that.
Year 8 Will was just in his
And it was so, and my last post were like, watching Gavin and Stacey, lol, having a pizza, lol.
I just changed it.
No, literally not. You know, everything finished with a lol and a kiss. Like, no full stop back then. But, out of the blue, I got this one kicked up, and it was this really deep emotional thing. And I remember, as soon as I saw it, I thought, I made that up.
I'm a liar.
I thought I made that up, and I remember 10 years ago making up this status. Just there weren't a lot going on like no one on Messenger or whatever. I just made it up.
Had enough of everyone's shit.
No, honestly, it was something like. It was something as if I was going through a terrible breakup, and I was like reaching out, like calling out for like help or something, and I was honestly just sitting at home just eating toast. I remember it so vividly, and it was something like, I can't believe when people say things like that, and never something really bad. I remember I've just made that completely up.
I've fabricated this whole situation just so I can get some sympathy. So I can't be on say hello to some girls.
Now my cousin used to always.
That's the move. Anyone knows.
And the thing is, everyone's been guilty of that.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a person out there that hasn't been guilty of, cousin.
For people that don't know,
everyone knows.
Everyone knows. I'll explain. So you slide
MSN.
MSN. You slide into a girl's DM.
MSN.
It all goes a bit pear shaped. They fuck you off. God, sorry, love. Cousin took the messenger.
It's funny to look back and laugh at it, but we've all used it, and we're literally having
such a cop out.
Like standard chats, conversations with personal jokes that no one else is gonna know, and then this message of, actually, do you want to go out with me? Out of the blue. Sorry, cousin, bloody cousin. I'm back. He's gone now though.
He came for that one message and then left.
But even obviously we sort of took that on the chin. However, yeah, no, as I was saying about Generation Z, 1996. Yeah, I'm glad you remember that day because I couldn't remember that.
Because I remember it was a year before I was born.
The suicide rates for pre-teenage girls in particular have risen by 150%.
Yeah, that was 150 as well.
150%.
Like, that's ridiculous.
And I think teenage girls was not much less. I think it was 114 or something along those figures. And it isn't hard. And I remember watching it thinking, it really, really is not hard to see the correlation.
Yeah.
It's not hard at all to see the correlation between it, and obviously so many people have spoke about it, but the figures speak from 150.
That's a ridiculous stat.
At such a young age.
That's what I mean, like this whole thing, like when it's in statistics, it puts it into like, you can just quantify it, do you know what I mean? And it's like, that is fucking crazy.
That was just sad because I remember, and the fella that was speaking on the topic after, who actually, so they're called growth hackers, and these are people that look into the psychology of users and basically organise platforms, and everything we see is catered to us, and these are growth hackers, and these are people that basically tap into our psychology and our psyche that we don't even realise.
Are these real people?
No, these are real people, yeah. And they're sort of basically manipulating, that's the best word they use, manipulating what we see. So in the thing you see where that boy was thinking about that girl and he'd liked her photo, whatever it may be, and manipulated what he saw then. Advertisements for things like beauty improvements, like even just stupid stuff like hair gels and stuff that you wouldn't initially think. It's not too suspicious to be, oh, like it's exactly because of that, but small, very small incremental changes, and that's what they were talking about. And the fella that was one of the growth hackers, one of the biggest ones, he was like a titan in the industry, that he's very well known, and he was basically saying that likes on platforms are very, like, I remember I wrote it down here, like fake brittle popularity, and where you have that what's the thing called again? Dopamine release through something like a like or a post or getting a lot of traction off it.
But you do get that as well. Like.
You really do. Like craving that dopamine. It's like, what can I do next to get more of that? And the perfect, I know it's a little bit less serious, but the perfect way to see that, and is what, funny enough, when I used to listen to Gary Vee podcasts, a lot of girls...
We know you're listening.
I know he is. He's about everywhere. But he was saying a lot of problems that he would always get with when girl content producers would tune into the thing or ask him questions, and they would be saying, okay, I'm putting out really good content in whatever field it may be, and I'm getting next to no likes, but I put out a bikini photo and I get X amount of likes, an incredible amount. And it almost comes back to that for not just girls, obviously everyone. They put out a post and it's successful, it gets engagement, and it's, how can I want more of that, how can I better that? And that's what we're seeing on TikTok so much. Even with girls that literally they have it written in their things, oh, I never thought I'd do this challenge, never thought I'd do that challenge. However, they know if they do that whack challenge or they do that backbreaker challenge, you know that one? They know that's going to get more traction.
And they're not silly, like realistically, we're not tuning in to see your dance moves.
And they know that's going to get more likes, that's going to get more traction, so they're going out and doing it. Just for that dopamine release, and they obviously you don't realise at the time, but that is what it's like, I'm guilty of it. When we make, not doing the but when you create a post or something, and even for people like us who aren't driven by likes or views, when you have something quite successful, oh, that was good. Like, what can I do to do something similar, or to replicate that, or to make that better? So you're all guilty of it in a sense, probably without even realising, just in sort of different ways. It's mental.
It's interesting.
And I remember one last one. One of my favourite films, Truman Show. You ever seen it?
Never seen it.
Honestly, I'm one of the people.
I was going to lie there as well, but then you would have been, oh, what about this bit?
I never recommend films to people, because you know when people say, oh, listen to this, watch this, and
it's shit, and you're like, you've wasted.
Not even when it's shit,
it
just when
doesn't deliver.
I was going to say, when people say to me, just never do it. Like, not even intentionally.
You should never watch it.
Just never watch it. Ever. Like, something, I have something in my mental that's when when a lot of people say, "Oh, you have to watch this, I instantly just want to rebel. I go, nah, I'm not doing that. Not even in a chance to be different. It's just I don't know what it is. So when people go, "Oh, watch this," I think, yeah, all right, mate, and just never do it. But Truman Show, you genuinely have to watch, and they referenced it in the thing, but you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have got that little bit.
I didn't take
but pretty much, it's the craziest thing for anyone that doesn't know what the Truman Show is. It is what's his name? Jim Carrey. And I'm not huge.
I did see him in there. I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm not the. I like Jim Carrey in some things, like Bruce Almighty and whatnot, but I'm not his biggest fan.
No.
But pretty much, it goes. He lives in. He doesn't obviously realise, but he lives in this world and he goes through his day-to-day life, whatever, and he thinks everything's sort of normal. However, his whole life is basically in an incubator, like a world's in an incubator, and there's people in the sky. In this theoretical sky, like a production studio, that are basically controlling absolutely everything he sees, where he goes, the weather, absolutely everything, and they even change his psychology so he never leaves. So, for example, when he's really young, it's not really a spoiler, but when he's really young, they make him watch. So they take him on a boat trip, or like bring him to his boat trip, and his dad basically goes overboard in this storm, and they make him watch his dad drown to death, and so he has it in his psychology. He hates water, like he fears water. So he lives in this place, in this sort of fictional place, and he's always wanted to go Fiji, but he can't. He has such a mental block of water, so they just manipulate his whole life to keep him here.
It is crazy how they can do that, right? And that brings me back.
And that is what is happening in a way, you know.
Well, it was an interesting thing in there as well, because they were showing like certain bits of news to some people, and that's all they'd see.
It's literally what I had,
they'd show certain bits, so that's why like people are divided politically in America. Obviously, other things factor in, but they're literally showing you two different things, and they're causing all this conflict, which kind of brings me to a point, right? Like, AI can get so intelligent that it's causing people on the outside world to conflict through the content they're pumping out. Like, I understand it's the people that are pumping out the content, but they choose what gets shown.
Well, they had statistics of it's been the biggest. It was like the divide within the country has been the biggest divide they've ever had by X amount, and there've been all these like basically like wars within like America.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's what you said, and just to break that down a little bit for anyone that hasn't seen it, pretty much you could go into YouTube, and this was quite a good example they used, or Google, and just type in the beginning of a sentence of how to, or is it true that, or and depending on where you live and your specifics of your data, they change the ending of that sentence. So even though we have very similar interests, we live very similar places, pretty much live quite similar lives in a lot of respects, we could type in the beginnings of sentences and Google completely changes it just between us. And this is where all this divides become, because a lot of people that are in certain Facebook groups that have Googled certain things about conspiracy theories and whatnot, so when people type in is corona or is COVID, for some people it will say a hoax. And then for some people it will say obviously completely different things.
It's just dividing people ridiculously.
Dividing people as much as possible.
And like the fact for me that it has that power inside a computer to affect the outside world like that is fucking scary. Like, and these things are only getting smarter. They're evolving every day. Like, they said there's only a top level of people that can somewhat comprehend how the algorithm works and how it's always changing. Like, if you see the computers, it's not like a fucking laptop, believe it or not. It's like big storage rooms of like thick wires, and it's just all like, it just looks some high tech shit. It's all like flashing lights. You're like, I haven't even got the some of it's underwater. That was interesting. I haven't even got the faintest idea what's going on here. Like, it's crazy and it's a scary prospect.
It brings me. Sorry,
go on.
No, I was gonna say it brings me onto this thing that I watched before at uni, and it was really interesting. It was like 4 hours long, so I won't say watch all of it, but it pretty much there's it's gonna annoy me that I can't think of the word. There's this game in China called, I want to say it's Go. I want to call it China. Go or something of that, and it's like a very traditional. Like, it's like chess pretty much to the Chinese, and it's one of them games that has infinite amount of moves, and it's pretty much you have to place counters certain places and you take over territories and things like that. And Google basically were developing. It was like I said, it was scratching the surface of AI, but they developed an AI machine to play this game.
That's fucked up.
No, it is mental, and what was a so they developed this thing, and there was this guy who was like 9-time world champion, and they pitted basically this computer against the man who'd always beaten any human basically possible, and as the AI was playing him and developing and whatnot and learning, it started developing patterns, and it started not only beating the fella but toying with him. So for example, they'll just make, it was quite funny because it's like chess and someone just put in a piece there, and the whole of China or wherever it was pretty much watching this live, going crazy at this move because they'd never seen it before. Like, oh my god, the counter's gone there, it's gone crazy. Everyone was thinking it like malfunction. It's quite interesting, and they found out the AI developed a pattern that every time it hit the 130th move of the game, it would just win then. It was just like, so they found out it was basically toying with him up to 130 plays and then just won.
Crazy.
And they were saying the amount of moves, the capacity the computer had of moves, or something along those lines, was more, the figure was greater than the amount of atoms in the entire atmosphere, in the entire universe.
You can't compete with things like that. Like, when you think about it, there's intelligent fuckers out there, right? But like, you can't compete with these computers like this, and it's always changing. Like, and like, they know deep in our subconscious like what we're gonna do before we even do it. You know, there's a like a rhythm to everything. It's a scary prospect. It really is. But it is a very interesting one. That's why we thought we'd touch on it today. I literally watched it this morning, and like it's still fresh in my mind. And that being said, I haven't been on my phone that much today, but I had been busy, so it wasn't really through choice.
We said touch upon it. We have been speaking about it for full.
I love it. Though. I love it. There's another thing I wanted to touch on though on this.
Yeah, go for it. Go on, make your last one, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, we'll move on quick. So it's kind of like not very on topic now, but I want to touch on it. So. Where is it? So Snapchat dysmorphia is called, where the girls,
this was nuts.
They want to look more like the Snapchat filters, like
they've been asking for plastic surgery and whatnot to look like those.
Yeah, and like if any girls are watching this, and maybe you do it for yourself, and maybe you do it for male approval, but guys aren't into that. I'll speak for myself. Like the big lips, all the fake stuff. Like, I'm not into that personally. I think it looks weird. I don't like. And whenever I'm on some form of dating app, right, and you see a picture of a girl who's got a Snapchat filter on, I drop my red flag.
That's flag. Well, first of all, when you said it, I thought you was talking about like the dog ears.
Like
the little dog.
I mean, there's probably some kinky fuckers that's my strange addiction. She's like.
I know exactly what you mean, and it's one of those difficult ones. Some people do it for what they like and what they enjoy. And me personally, it's not up my street whatsoever.
I don't know any guys that really are like, I fucking like that.
I don't. Yeah, I actually don't. I've never heard. I've never even really heard anyone say anything. I wish their lips were 4 times bigger.
Trust.
But it is one of those. If that person turns around and says, "This makes me feel 100 times better," then sweet.
Does that make them feel better, right?
I don't know.
Does them doing that and posting pictures and getting loads of likes make them feel better? Because that's what they think people want.
Well, that's it. I think it's only down to the person.
It's what you value, right? But it's fucking weird.
But it is crazy, and they've been linked suicides to that Snapchat dysmorphia, and it is nuts. It's actually nuts. But we'll move swiftly on from that. So,
did you get any questions from the fans? I didn't get any. Like, not any I want to read anyway. Like, some of them just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I got a couple, and one of them was sent from Joe, and I said to him I'd do a bit of research around this topic. Joe. However, I will not lie to you. If you've got this far in, Joe, waiting for your.
He told you if you recommend him something, he ain't watching it.
That's actually so true.
Terrible podcast.
But I actually was going to go out my way and watch it. It was basically something on Joe Rogan, and someone was talking about obesity, and the guy that was on there, I remember you said something about it, and he was spitting absolute waffle, and I just wanted to go away and do a little bit more research into it before I concluded that. However, I have not, so I will do that next time. However, someone sort of touches upon what you said earlier about routines, and someone wrote in and was asking to discuss routines, really. So I don't know if that meant workout routines or life routines.
I go with life routines. I like you can hear about my training if you want, but I've spoke about it quite a bit.
You go life, and maybe I'll go fitness.
So for me, like, I think a routine's important, right? So I'll talk you through it. I wake up, good start, and usually like I think it's important, right? Because there's not hard things to do. Like I have this thing where I'll put water, lemon, and a bit of sea salt in a cup exactly like this, and I'll drink it and I'll have a coffee, and then at the moment I've been getting, as you would say, bang into my multivitamins. And then like those 3 things, so like the water, I've got to put the lemon in, do the salt. These are all things I have to do because they're just not made for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm already starting my day, making myself do something that I'd rather not do.
Right, I see what you're saying. I thought you were going to say, oh, you're a big boy, make your water.
Yeah. Do it myself. But yeah, so I make that, I drink my coffee, and I sit there, and I'm like, alright, that's the first thing of the day done that I don't necessarily want to do, but I have done, so I might as well keep trying to tackle things throughout the day, and the caffeine gives me a nice little kick, then I get hydrated, and I'm like, alright, let's fucking get it. Let's go shower, let's go eat, let's go train, whatever it may be. I usually train fasted in the morning, to be fair, if I'm not working. I like to feel like for my training anyway, I don't think it'd be as beneficial.
I'll link this back to it.
And I don't do it for any sort of like, oh, I'm fasting. I do it because I feel better when I train. I feel lighter, a bit faster. And then after, it's later in the day and I have more calories to play with. And then from there, usually, my days vary, right? But that's my morning. Like, if you start your morning with a strong routine, the rest of the day will follow suit. There's something to be said for momentum. You do a couple things you need to do, then I go and exercise, and I got the endorphins. I'm like, alright, what else are we gonna do today? So I like trying to be productive. Swing it over to you.
Yeah, well, you sort of took the life one, and so I'll take it down the fitness side because this is one cramp. I didn't get my sea salt in that one.
No, mate, you need to double up on the old salt.
This is one I get asked a hell of a lot, and I guess we'll have to mix up with some fitness and something.
Some life.
And people always ask me, what's the best split? And for those of you that don't know it, basically it's a fancy way of saying how you split up your workouts, chest, triceps, for example, full
Just get
body,
small, bro.
things like that. They say, what's the best for gaining muscle? What's the best for burning fat? Or should I, like you said earlier, which I'll touch upon, should I train fasted? Do I need to do intermittent fasting? X, Y, Z. And I'll just go through them. In terms of split, one thing that's so important that I learned over the years is there is no set split workout exercise that is going to necessarily maximise muscle growth or even, we'll talk about maximising muscle growth first, in terms of, like I said, there is no particular workout, anything like that, and it's so, don't get me wrong, there are exercises that are better than others, like the basics are there usually for a reason. However, what I will say is it's so important, and I cannot stress this enough, to try different splits, see what works for you, because ultimately it's like eating and dieting at the end of the day. If it's not sustainable and you can't keep it up, it's not good.
You need to be enjoying that shit.
You're thinking, oh, I've got this later and I actually hate that, I can't be bothered.
Absolutely dreading lunges.
Right, all the time. I cannot do this. You're not going to go to the gym.
You're not going to be consistent.
And then you start reading, and it's good to follow workouts because you can stick to the reps and sets, which is always important. However, people see things, and it's, for example, I always see dumbbell flies in my workouts, and I think I actually hate them. I never feel them as much as I want to. I don't enjoy them, hate them. And once you start realising what works for you, you can just add in more of that. Like, you don't have to do that because it's not working, but that's just sort of as you learn your body. And which takes me on to my next point, and pretty much when people say what's the best workout for fat loss and whatnot, I personally, it really is, and we've all asked that question. We've all asked that question, and I know I certainly have. And for me personally, I train hypertrophy, so basically training to maximise muscle growth.
Maximum gains,
maximum gainage. And my training actually doesn't change at all when I'm cutting, like literally whatsoever.
No.
Your calories, as I always say, you burn fat, lose body weight, whatever you want to call it, through your deficit. That's the only important thing. And doing 100, and the way I sometimes sort of say it to people, if you want to go one way about it, you're probably better off if you're going into the gym to burn strictly calories, which, by the way, you do not burn as many as you think in the gym.
Not through weights.
No, a typical person...
Even cardio, like, it takes fucking
leads onto your video. It really... for a normal, my sort of body weight, going in for a hard session, hour and 20 minutes, I'll probably burn up 300 calories.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot.
Yeah.
And people are like, okay, I'm cutting, I'm going to go in, I'm going to burn up 800, 900. You're not.
No.
And people going in and saying, oh, that classic, I'm cutting, so I'm lifting light and more reps. The way I always say to people is, if you're to think about it logistically, if you're to perform 20 reps of one arm dumbbell curl on a lightweight, what exerts more energy, that or doing 8 reps of a heavy squat?
Yeah.
What's exerting more energy? And we're like, well, yeah, the heavy squat. I was like, well, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're actually using more energy.
Cows in, cows out.
Exactly. So, and which just sort of leads me to when I said about fasting and whatnot. Honestly, what's the one where you skip breakfast? It's fasting. Yeah, fasting. Sorry.
Intermittent.
Intermittent fasting is a little bit of a different thing, but when people say, "Oh, is fasting a good one for?"
Fasted cardio.
Someone literally woke up one day, couldn't be bothered to make breakfast, or didn't have time to make breakfast. Went about their day, and some moron has just given it some snazzy name of fasting. You just haven't eaten breakfast.
Yeah.
You haven't like boosted your metabolism. You haven't like sped up fat.
None
you haven't done any. You just haven't had breakfast. And then, like you said, some people say, "Is it good?" And it's not to dismiss it completely, because for you, if you train fasted, I reckon for you probably feel a bit lighter, a bit quicker.
Do it purely for performance.
For performance, and like you said, you have more calories at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's just a bonus.
So it helps you, but it just helps. People say, "Is it good?" Well, if it helps you hit your deficit, and it helps it, sweet, perfect. But there's no benefit, like added benefits.
Well, I'm always very, like, cautious, I want to say, of like going, I'm training fasting, because I don't want to lead people down that rabbit hole. Like, I don't do it for that, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be giving out some bullshit, like, I train fasted every morning. I just do it because
makes me so
I feel sick if I'm like trying to hit a punch bag and like just fall.
Yeah.
And then like I'll train. I have a coffee as well. Coffee is really good at suppressing your appetite. So if you do that, if you do cardio in the morning, I'd recommend it. If you're doing weights, probably not. You probably want a bit of fuel for that, for the bar.
It is just subjective though.
Yeah, like you got to find what works for you. You got to find what works for you. Like I've gone down all the rabbit holes. I went keto, not for me. Like don't do that. Like actually don't.
There's so many people that talk about keto, and I always try and have no bias.
So I was trying to get fucking shred Bundy.
I literally see all these people talk about keto.
I need carbs, man. I need fuel. Like it's just.
And I try and have no bias towards things, because, like I always say, if it works for you, it works for you. However,
it floats your boat.
It's so hard to put your body in a state of ketosis. A lot of people that even do keto are not even in a state of ketosis. They're actually not.
No.
And because everything has carbs in it to a certain extent, even if it's trace.
Like I couldn't even eat certain, a lot of fruit I couldn't eat. Some veg.
No, you can't eat fruit.
No.
You have to think.
Miserable, man.
This is another thing. What really, this is my bugaboos of dieting. When people say I can't eat sugar, it makes me fat, and I'll say to people, well, would you eat a dairy milk? And they'll say, no, that's sugar. Like that make me fat. I say, but would you have a fruit salad? I'm like, yeah. Like I'm getting lean. I can have fruit salad. I go, there is like equal amount of sugar in that bar of chocolate, as there's vitamins and minerals.
Yeah,
all
like
that,
one will make you feel better.
Exactly.
But we're going purely from a calorie point
of view.
That's right. Yeah.
So sugar is a carbohydrate. So when people say, "Oh, I'm not eating carbs because they're fat," that's a whole nother podcast. I'm just gonna hate on people that say that. But I'll say to them, "Oh, you're gonna have an apple today?" They go, "Oh yeah, like that's healthy." That's pretty much all carbs. So you have to sort of pick and choose. So,
and I think again, it's just a lack of knowledge / there's a lot of bullshit out there.
I don't blame people. I really don't blame people at all.
You go down the rabbit hole. Like I've done it. I've
done this.
I remember actually. This is funny. I was we were trying to make gains, bruh, and I was making protein pancakes with ice cream, and I sent it to you. You was like, you fucking ruined it. You're trying to get big. You put ice cream on it. It was back in the day, and I was like, nah, it's alright, bonk you. And you was like, nah. And then you used to beat yourself up all the time because you were eating like pizzas and shit. You was like, nah, I need to be eating good shit, man. My diet's been terrible recently. I was like, bro, you need to eat fucking more.
It's so funny you say that.
Get another fucking pizza now.
I remember back to my first year of uni, and the reason I'm so like bullish on things the way I say it is because
you've been there.
I've literally been there, and that's why I'm so against it. And some people just don't want to believe me, but I have to tell them, like, I've been where you've been, because I used to be in first year, and I remember back to it. I used to eat like the leanest meat I could get, so turkey mince, rice and veg, every single day pretty much. I wouldn't drink like juice. I wouldn't have orange juice. If people had like anything like shareable, like crisp, sweet, I would not. I wouldn't even have one M&M. Like nothing.
That's the thing is that once you have one in it. It's curtains.
And that was the thing. Sometimes I'm like, when I would treat myself, I would have a sip of someone's drink.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
For me, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just like.
I thought I was so caught up in the mindset, like this is how I was going to look, how I wanted to look. And I so didn't want to look how I currently look. I would have done anything. So when I thought that was how to go about it, sweet, I'll do it. And like that was my dedication. I thought I want to look different to such an extent. If that's what it takes, I'll do it, and I did until I realised it's utter bollocks, really.
Nah. I bet when you sort of do you remember like a moment you sort of found out you was doing it wrong? Was it like a gradual thing, or was you like, fuck, I need to eat a lot more? There was like
there was.
And you was like, Dominoes.
There were turning points. There actually were turning points, and I slightly do remember it. And then I got to second year, and I remember thinking, oh, okay, I remember it slowly. I remember thinking, okay, right, I'm gonna get bang on back where I was, but just have. And then I went into that classic. I'll eat healthy, but I'll have a cheat meal. And I don't like the word cheat meal because you should never really, and it's one of the cliche things, you shouldn't look at food as cheating. And if you count your calories and you do everything correctly, you can still have the food you like. Having a day where you have more calories, okay, but I wouldn't even still call that a cheat day. So I got into that habit, and then it sort of got to a point of my third year when I was in the thing, I went full circle. I remember it, and I found out about a surplus. I was like literally licking my lip, and I took the piss out of it. And I saw things like I was in Gym Bro Insta, like I was in the Gym Bro Insta, like looking at pages, literally. I was seeing people like, if you want to gain, you need to eat. And I was like, right, I'm taking this, I'm running with it. So I was probably on 5,000-6,000 calories a day, just consuming.
And for people that don't track, that is so much food.
There's a lot of food.
Like
I was eating.
To eat that clean is nigh on impossible. Like you can do it, don't get me wrong, but it'd be fucking miserable.
You actually can't do it. I'm putting it out there. You can't do it. If someone wants to make a video of eating, and when we say clean inverted commas, I mean, and I do say with inverted commas because
what is clean?
Yeah,
like what the
food?
Generic definition of clean.
Yeah.
So your chicken, your rice, your porridge in the morning.
Yeah.
Porridge is actually dank in the morning. I can't even lie.
No, I still like that. It is hard to consume because you have to think. If you think there's 4 calories in a gram of protein, 4 calories in a gram of carbs. However, there's 9 calories in a gram of fat. So anything, this is where people get very thrown off, like, oh, if I eat fat, I'll get fat, but it's not the case. No. Fat is good in your diet. But if you eat really, really fatty things and highly processed things are obviously always high in fat, every food technically is processed, but highly processed food, then it's really easy to get those calories in. So once you start doing that, obviously,
easy.
Because if you think 10 grams of...
Like, what did I do the other day? I had a fry up the other day, easy 2,000 calories. I went in on the sausages, in on the bacon, the hash browns, they were potatoes, but I think they had oil on them, so they were like pretty calorific. Black pudding.
Oil, just straight fat as well.
Oh yeah.
It's easy to do, and that was the sort of turning point of when I realised the surplus, and I was seeing myself get bigger, and I got caught up in the wrong mindset. And this was only like a year and a half ago, 2 years. I got caught up in the mindset of like trying to hit numbers on the scales. And I wasn't eating.
It's a bad way to get.
I want to be like 92. I want to be 95 kg, and I was the heaviest I'd ever been, but I was the fattest I'd ever been. Obviously, I'm quite a lean person, so I wasn't really fat.
Good metabolism.
And I'm naturally quite lean, like some people are. And this time round, where I've been back home and doing it strategically, just keeping that surplus quite slight, increasing it when it plateaus, I've kept quite lean. But I've been eating a lot of food still. I'm still on like 3,400 calories a day.
And again, that's a lot of food.
Is going up.
But like, I noticed on your thing the other day that you've been eating somewhat healthy, like trying to get your veg in. I think because you just feel like better, right? You feel like, don't get me wrong, it's good to have like high fat foods that can get it in. But when I eat like slow releasing carbs, like I do feel like, for me, when I'm busy during the day, I can't be eating like a lot of like, I don't know, shit, like I can't even
cans
explain
of
it.
Coke,
Yeah, cans of Coke.
yeah.
Because I just feel like I get that, I crash.
That crash.
Yeah,
you do get that. That hits you quite hard, doesn't it? I think sometimes,
yeah.
like sugary things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, because a lot of people are like, oh, okay, so I want to gain muscle. Like, I'm happy to eat very, very clean, and I say to them like, you're never going to be able to keep it sustainable unless you mix in things you like. And then I'll say to them, in theory, if you want to lose weight, and let's say your calories are 2,000, and you eat KFC for that whole day, and you hit your protein intake and your calorie intake, you're still on track to lose weight. Like you've still hit that same deficit, and that's still okay.
Could easily do 2,000 KFC.
Easy, because there's two ways to eat. You can eat in regards to weight loss, you can eat in two ways, or three ways technically, and you can eat for health, which is having very sort of minerals, vitamins, dense food, lots of good fibre.
I'm trying to get about that life, you know.
So you can eat for health, and then you can eat for strictly weight loss, which means you only care about your calories and your protein, and then in which case, you can literally eat anything. Or you can, what I say to people is have a good mix of both, and then that's the sort of perfect.
Go live your life a little bit. It's all about balance as well, and like drinking's a weird one. You somewhat got to factor that in. Like people don't realise that they fucking smash the beers every weekend.
Yeah, I made a thing about that.
Yeah.
Just sort of, it doesn't. It's one of those that people are like, oh, like I haven't drunk in like 5 weeks now, and that's only just because I haven't really got out. Yeah. It's not like I would never drink.
Well,
I love going out.
It's looking that way for the foreseeable future.
But the thing is with me, especially, like, I hate doing gradual. Like I would never go out for like 1 or 2 drinks. If I go out to drink, I like to go out to like as soon as I have a sip of a drink, like I want to be out.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's good, like, you need to learn that about yourself, right? Like, fair play to the people that can go down the bozer and have a few pints, but I'll have a beer, and you're like, do you want to go out? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. As soon as I have a drink, I just want to hear, like, music, you know? I just want to be out. I don't want to be in a quiet pub.
You go like this, you go, oh.
Yeah, I actually do.
That exact noise, you're like, oh.
I want to go out.
I had some of that sweet nectar.
Yeah, I want to go out. It's literally how it goes. But that's what I say to people. I say, like they say, oh, can I? I was like, look, if you're so set on hitting this goal and hitting this target, can you change things? Like, can you swap out certain drinks and have these drinks? Yes, you can. However, if you're not too bothered or whatever, but you still want to soundtrack, just track it. If you have 5 pints, like Dan does it quite well. He just tracks it. You just 5 pints. Dan at the moment, slob.
Yeah, if you're watching this, salt it out.
But goes out, has a few pints, whatever. Just tracks the beers, and then you can just work off that.
Yeah. You get that kind of in. And that's what I mean. I had quite a few pints the other day.
Pints like 150, 200 calories.
Yeah,
not as
I
much
did like
as
1,000 calories in beer though.
Yeah.
I am half. Thank you for noticing. But like that takes a long time to burn off. Like you got to run, got to jog for an hour. At a good pace to burn that off.
I'm gonna fly onto our next topic because I need a wee, and I'm gonna wrap up on our last topic of the day, which is mixed martial arts.
MMA.
MMA.
I dabble. No, I'm not a casual. I love it. Yeah, man. Like for me, there's nothing more exciting when there's a good fight card on. Like we watched the one last week, and it's on at somewhat of a decent time. Like I hate staying up till 6 in the morning. If you're in the UK, you feel my pain.
The no crowds is a good one because it goes a lot quicker. Yeah. That's what I've liked.
And the last one finished at like 3, half 3, 4, which is usually like a 6 a.m. job. And like you just, if you ain't been out and you ain't like a little bit pissed, like we was completely sober, you're just sitting there watching the fight sometimes and your eyes are just closing. You know when you can't fight it for any longer?
Hold that thought, I need to wait.
Alright,
just keep it
I'm
rolling.
gonna keep it spinning. I might even talk about the fights.
I'm coming back to that point.
Alright, no, I'll talk about last week's fights. Let me pull them up. Who was it? Oh shit, it was T Wood and Colby, but who was on the undercard? It was some good fights. I know Cowboy fought. It was a good card, and it weren't even a pay-per-view, and like it was stacked like one as well. So in the main event we had Colby versus T Wood. Yeah, so we'll start from the bottom up. Actually no, we won't. I'm actually lying to all of your face. We have Khamzat Chimaev, who is just, in my opinion, I'm not a massive fan of him. I think he's a little bit arrogant, like, and I would be if I was just knocking people out left, right, and centre, then strangling them. But like, get your own gimmick. Like, do you just want to be Khabib? Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe he's not actually trying, but he's just being him. He's just being himself, which you can't knock it. And like, he's delivering. He's talking the talk to some extent. The English isn't great, but he walks the walk as well, man. And like, I did think that his fight with GM3, if you will, was an interesting one because he's tied for the most submissions in middleweight history. I want to say. I don't know, but yeah, that is right. So I thought if it goes to the ground, it's going to get a bit dicey for your boy Hamza, but didn't get there, did it? Literally one kick, didn't really land.
Oh, that was nuts.
One aggressive right hand straight on the chin. Pretty dirty, really. Like you was watching it, and Hamza Chimaev. You have this thing, yeah. When you watch the fights, you either look down, or you'll look down for 30 seconds, just chasing that dopamine, and then you look up and someone spark out.
I go one or two ways in UFC. I just watch it really infrequently, not infrequently, like sporadically throughout the night. And I say this because it's happened a couple of times when I was working, and I'd sort of like come downstairs, look, and I'll hit every single knockout, spinning, like things that have never even happened in the UFC. Like I've watched, I actually have. Before, I either catch it like as I come down in a split second, or I watch an entire card and miss absolutely everything. And it was what you were saying before I went to the toilet, but the eyes going, I'm the worst for it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
No.
There's no stronger. Like you say, what's the strongest thing in the world? When you hit that tiredness and your eyelids cannot open.
Yeah.
Like, they cannot open.
There's nothing you can do in it. Like I drink all the coffee.
And I just find myself and
it's against your will, isn't it? And then you just teleport and it's the next morning. You're like, well, I fucked it.
Yeah.
Like, so we started on last week's cards, so we're gonna go for it. And we're gonna go for this week's cards, and then we'll wrap up.
Kevin Holland. Big fan of Kevin Holland.
Yes, I rated him a lot.
Big
fan. I do think Darren Stewart won that fight, and I like Darren Stewart a lot. Met him once, didn't really speak to him. Saw him at a Bellator event. I was like, oh, it's Darren Stewart. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't speak. I was like, oh shit, and bottled speaking to him.
Why?
He was too far away, and I don't know, just
Boulder.
Yeah, basically, in short. But yeah, he's local. He trains in London. It's like different places from what I've heard. Like he sees a few gyms, goes in, gets some work with different people. He doesn't have one set gym, but legit fighter. Looks a lot like Woodley, which I think is funny.
Finished it pretty well, didn't he?
Yeah. So what I like about this fight in general, like sometimes when someone's talking, I'm like, well, like just crack on, but then who am I to tell them how to fight? But when they're kind of going back and forth, I'm into it, and like none of it was like in ill will. It was all very playful, you know.
It was a. I said to you then, I like those fights that have a lot of conversation in them.
Yeah.
Have a lot of.
The no fans as well. You can hear.
Yeah, you can hear everything. Let's say bad blood inverted commas within the fight, but every round with them especially, it was like touch gloves, help them up, like everything like that.
It's like hell yeah.
And then it's, I don't know. Sometimes it makes it. When it goes one or two ways. When they have pure hatred for each other, I love that. And then when they have pure respect. Like I love that as well because the caliber of the fight never suffers.
Never,
and sometimes
not
it's
punch each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's better when it's just like finished, go to the corner. It's not fun. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Kevin Holland.
Yeah, man, like a difficult guy to fight as well. Rangy as fuck, like very
weird,
slick.
unorthodox.
Like, very unorthodox.
Very unorthodox.
Hard to prepare for. Slick on the feet. He said he wants Hamza Chimaev next, but I don't think he's going to get it, but who knows. Mackenzie Dern, I think I'm in love with her. She's a straight weapon, but yeah, she obviously got the submission win. That's what she does. She'll go on to do that again, I think.
Killer from the canvas.
I don't know why that girl went to I don't even know how this unfolded, but I don't know why Miranda Marcos went to the floor with her. I would have tried to stand up straight away.
I doubt she would have meant to.
No, but I think...
I doubt she would have shot
It wasn't a takedown. It was like Mackenzie Dern didn't shoot. Something weird happened. She might have even pulled guard. I don't know. I'm going to rewatch that after.
Johnny Walker.
This was a weird fight.
Johnny Walker.
Do you remember this? So it was like the first round finished for Johnny Walker, but he got rocked, then he rocked him, and then he tried to like take him down. It was short elbows, and he just went limp on the floor.
He was asleep on his knees when he really.
Like for the 2 minutes 42 that lasted, that was a serious fight.
He got rocked.
Yeah.
He got tagged.
And when they're both probably 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
When someone's that big, right, and their legs start to go, it's quite like it's a bit of a spectacle.
Yeah.
You're looking at it thinking, fuck, like someone that big's got wobbled.
The fingers as well, because they're at such a height, you can see it all a lot better.
They fall from so high.
From a very high.
So
as soon as his legs start going.
Yeah.
And Johnny Walker's an eccentric fighter.
Yeah.
And you see him rock, you're thinking, Ooh, it's like seeing Tony Ferguson get rocked.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know, like he'll come back and he'll be rocked, then throw like a spinning elbow or some shit. Like you're never safe fighting him.
He just cleaned him out at the end. He was asleep on his knees.
Speaking of people being asleep on their knees, I touched on it already whilst you went for your
this was a bit mad, break. And I know you and your brother Fred do not really like.
It's just like get your own gimmick. Like I know he's probably being himself.
However, this is what I was gonna say. So you say get your own gimmick, but that's because maybe even Khabib's established. We know him. Obviously, he's one of the best in the sport ever to do it. And this geezer's coming out speaking very similar to him. And we're saying, oh, you're just like him. But that's just maybe... They're from... Yeah, literally.
Like, he always goes, brother.
I know what you mean. But that's the same way we would say the same words, you know?
Yeah.
But some people are saying, oh, he's trying to be him. He's trying to be... He may just literally... That may just be him.
Yeah.
And to be fair, every time... He
delivers.
He's won 4 fights in like 90 days.
Yeah, like I can say what I want. Like I'm not a massive fan, but I'm gonna watch him fight. So regardless where I sit on the fence, next time he fights, I'm fucking watching. He
takes the record for quickest 3 wins, which was he had 66 days, and then second. I can't remember who was second. Oh, it wasn't Holloway. Whoever it was 106. Which isn't a million miles away
from... it was Charles Oliveira, but I feel like I'm completely making it up.
I don't think it was. I can't remember who it is.
I need to do my research.
Even if you told me, I wouldn't know. Yeah. But 106 was next, so it's quite nuts when you think about it. And I'm looking at your screen here, and that was a strange fight. They're cancelling him, aren't they? He's losing his contract.
Who?
Old Cowboy.
I don't know. I feel like they won't.
That's what Dana said.
Yeah, they need to have a conversation. Yeah. No, it won't be like you're out because Cowboy's such a legend.
Yeah.
And he can fight any up and comer, and like I'll watch. People will watch. You know what I mean, he can main event things like this all day. The way
he said it, I just read it like he's getting chopped. But then again, he wouldn't get chopped if he said that in the media first. He wouldn't go
Cowboy
like
first. No, he'd just say to him, look, like. Yeah. You need to
win next fight.
Otherwise,
but it was strange because Nico Price. It was weird because you never really want to see a draw because obviously these people have gone through 3 rounds of a lot of not torture but a lot of pain, and then to draw there's like a no result.
Yeah,
it's almost like it didn't happen.
I would have rather lost, but I'd rather have a definitive ending.
Some people I've seen people speak about it and they say I would have rather lost because. Yeah. Then you know, and it's like almost like closure on a situation.
Gives you that fire as well to get back into the camp. But
he was overly excited about that. Nico Price, like he was actually buzzing, buzzing.
Cowboy said he's taking that as a loss. He got a point deducted as well, so he would have won if he didn't get that. But he did. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
An old CV.
The main event, like Covington, I'm actually a fan. I can't even lie. Can't even cap. Like he. Yeah, he is, but like I know he's playing a character, and like he's just such an American bully jock, and I know he probably is a little bit like that, but he plays up to it, and it's just I just think it's funny, like because I know it's
President, Mr. President. When he was like calling him, I was like, oh.
Because I know it's all bollocks. I'm like, just do what you want, mate. You're a fucking donut, but you're funny nonetheless. And for Woodley, like he got dominated that whole fight.
He was uninspiring.
Yeah, like the rib injury was unfortunate, but it would have been more of the same if he didn't do that rib injury.
It was that was in the last round anyway.
In the fifth,
he dominated every round up to then, so it wouldn't have made much odds. But
and for Woodley, like he in his last few fights, he doesn't look like he wanted to be there. And, like if you can't get up for a fight with Colby, I don't know what you're gonna do. Like, I don't know what's gonna get you going.
That's gonna be someone to psych you up because you just call out and gets angry about pretty much anyone. But obviously, the big one is
that was a good card.
Week.
So
the big one is next week.
Yeah, so we'll just skim over the main event and then we'll wrap.
Oh yeah, Danny Reyes' fight.
No, we'll go through it. So you got Hakeem Dawodu versus Zavia. That's the guy that punched McGregor after the Khabib fight. He actually got punched by McGregor, I think. No, Khabib's brother did, but he was one of them in there. I'm gonna go with Hakeem because he's just athletic as fuck, explosive, power in both hands. Reckon he's good enough to stop the shot. I'm gonna go with Hakeem. Female fight, Caitlin Vera versus Sajara Eubanks. I think Sajara, she's gritty as fuck. Like I feel she'll just power through. She seems like she wants to be. I think she might have taken it on short notice, but she's doing it. I reckon she's gonna get it. Confidence high. Okay, last three. Oh, I like this fight
actually. This is a good fight.
No, these two. So this is going to bring me on to a separate weird point. So Kai Kara France. I have like this weird. Sometimes I have like, not visions, yeah, but I just see things. Like, I went to a gym once, yeah, when I first started training, and there was a guy there, like, my size, so I was like, I'm going to fight this geezer one day, I can feel it. I didn't end up fighting him, but I went to a competition, and he was in my bracket for kickboxing, but he got out in the round before, so, like, it was just a weird thing. I just felt it when I met him. And, like, this Kai Kara France, yeah, I don't know if you know Lonnie, shout out Lonnie, probably not listening, but if you are, he's a flyweight, right, and he's an up and coming. He's not in the UFC yet.
Is that the one that held
yeah, he was on my story the other day. He's not in the UFC yet, but I said this to him, yeah, I was like, you are going to fight him. You're going to get in the UFC, which I don't doubt at all, he's sick. I was like, you are going to fight him. I could just see it in my head. So yeah, interesting little side note. But he is sick, like him and Lonnie would be a sick fight. And Lonnie's got a while, well not a while, but he's only 2-0 as pro before he gets in the UFC. So like, he's got a while to level up as well. Not that he couldn't compete, but be a sick fight when the time's right. Cool, last two. Double title fight actually. This is going a bit under Sid's radar.
It's because obviously this is the big one, isn't it?
The big
obviously
dog.
Izzy, but Dominic Reyes, he should have won that fight against John Jones.
JJ.
He beat John Jones,
Yeah.
and that fight did nothing but propelled his reputation. I thought, because he fought one of the best pound for pound fighters ever, and he won, and everyone knew he won.
Yeah,
Even John Jones knew he won. Even in his presser after he was speaking, I just looked at his eyes like,
you got a front
know,
a bit in it, but
of course you do.
You can read behind people's eyes, you know.
Blauchowicz. I never know how to say his name.
Polish power knocked out Luke Rockhold.
Yeah,
I know,
he's
like,
got heavy hands.
my mate Bisping did that, but like, it's like, I know people are saying his chin's gone a little bit, but like, he can hit you with one shot and it's over. Both these guys can, right? They're light heavyweights, 205 pounds,
well.
93 kilograms. They cut down to, for anyone that doesn't know, but like, they're a lot bigger than that. They cut down to that.
So yeah. Dominic Reyes is an athlete.
Yeah. So he was
he's an athlete.
Yeah, he like was nearly in the NFL, but he didn't quite make it. But he's that caliber of athlete who's turned his hand towards MMA, and he's young in the game. I think he's only like 5-6 years. In the game.
I think I want to say 4 years, which is
like,
crazy.
Yeah, he's athletic as fuck. So it'll be interesting. I am gonna take Reyes. I'm gonna take Kai Kara France as well. I don't have our gay predictions, but that's what I'm gonna do.
Is dog.
Yeah. And the main event, like for me personally, I might eat these words, but
no way.
We move. Like, I just think Israel's going to piece him up and make him look fucking silly.
I think he's going to school him for 5 rounds.
I think Costa's going to try and take him down as well, and I think Israel's going to run him onto something naughty. Like, not TKO him, I think he's going to knock him out, like, on...
Clean.
Yeah.
The thing is, I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because of the way he still... He said 100 times, I've got knockout power in it. He says it before the fight. He says it after he's knocked people out. And he says himself, when people get into the octagon with him,
dangerous.
they don't realise how big he is.
Yeah, he's like 6'4".
Yeah, he's big and he's got power.
Yeah.
Obviously, Paulo Costa's coming as this big juice head.
Yeah,
I'm going to knock him out, that sort of
left,
thing.
Left, right.
Izzy is going to school him for 5 rounds. And if I could have it my way, I'd love to see him. I said to you on your comments, I'd love to see a shin to chin knockout. Late enough so I can see him get schooled, so third round.
So people aren't like, oh, it was a lucky shot. You know?
Yeah, but early doors just to shut him out, and,
Yeah.
and that's what I want to see. Third round, KO, Izzy.
Yeah. So if anyone does have predictions, this hopefully should be out before Saturday. So let us know below what you think. Genuinely, I mean that. Like, I love, as you can probably tell, having a genuine conversation about MMA. So if anyone is a fan, comment, let me know what you think, give me your predictions, and tell me why. But other than that,
yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us
yeah,
up for
I
a
don't think I've got
second.
anything to sum up with.
That was a bit more of a softer tone, that podcast.
Yeah.
Bit more serious.
Serious.
Yeah, a lot of social dilemma talk.
Social dilemma's good. Definitely watch it.
That's incredible. But it is a hot topic, and if you are listening, you haven't watched it, you're probably going to hear about it for a lot of time to come.
Yeah,
so
get to know.
Yeah, it is very good. However, that brings us to the end of the podcast, which leaves us, if you did enjoy it and you are listening, then please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you're listening there, and on Spotify or wherever. I don't think you can leave reviews on Spotify.
No,
actually,
just keep fucking listening.
Yeah.
What we're getting at.
And if you're on YouTube, please just drop a like and a subscribe. If you made it this far, well done.
All that good shit.
And yeah, message us on socials.
Peace and love.
Peace.